Hello guys, my name is Trevor and welcome to Alley Ridge. Today we're going to be talking about MacBooks. Specifically that they're so ridiculously expensive and the used market is freaking crazy. I talked briefly about this a couple months back when I got my 11-inch MacBook Air. I talked about a little bit how used prices are crazy, but I want to do more of a deep dive today to go kind of through eBay and kind of show you guys how to be able to purchase a reasonable MacBook for a reasonable price. So first, a couple things to consider, and that's going to be your wants. If you're looking to get a MacBook, look, you can find MacBooks for as low as $100. The thing is, you probably don't want those ones. When you're looking for used MacBooks, you want to at least find something that has at least an i5 or i7 processor. You want to make sure at this point you're staying away from any Intel Core 2 Duos or anything like that. Not saying those processors still can't be somewhat capable in 2018, but I think you're not going to be real happy if you get an Intel Core 2 Duo. And though many people might not be super tech savvy, it's important to make sure you read the fine print, because these are the type of things that can get tricky on eBay because people are legitimately trying to scam you. Another thing to also take into consideration is also how much RAM, hard drive space you may need, and we're getting to that in a second. And also if you're looking for a unibody MacBook, which is the older ones that have DVD drives and some other ports like FireWire that newer MacBooks no longer have. Or if you're looking for a Retina MacBook Pro, that's like this guy right here. It's the 2015 13-inch MacBook Retina. That's going to give you the benefits of Thunderbolt 2 and also just having some better battery and a bit more performance and that nice Retina screen. Or if you're looking for something 2016 or newer, and that's the new MacBook with the touch bar and everything like that. So start kind of piecing together what you're looking for, and let's get started. So we're gonna start this off by just literally going to eBay and typing in MacBook. Let's just see what comes up. The reason I wanted to put this right up is because of these sponsored items. These are the things that will get you and trick you. And this is what I find unacceptable. I feel like if eBay's watching, you should really look more into this, because to me this is a complete scam. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Even though this is sponsored, the non-sponsored post is right here, so it doesn't really matter. It's the same exact thing, same price, same everything. You can tell it's the same ad. So we'll click onto this and take a look to see what this is. Now, from the first looks of it, you can't really tell what kind of MacBook it fully is. If you're a MacBook addict like me that have owned pretty much all of them, you can kind of tell that this is a bit thicker. It's definitely not a Retina. So this is obviously an old MacBook. You can see you might get confused because it says 13. It does not mean 2013. It says new 2018 upgrade. It makes it seem like it's new. Trust me, it's definitely not. We'll get there in a second. Look at this very narrow pick of the ports to not really be able to fully understand what this MacBook is. But again, you can see the FireWire. You can tell this is definitely an older MacBook. I don't even know what the specs are yet. This page here is useless in all intents and purposes. It doesn't actually give any specs. The FaceTime camera no one cares about really. Okay, trackpad looks good, all that's cool. I'm good with all that, but look, they don't even have one picture of the specs. Not a good sign. So all we know so far without scrolling down is it's got 8 GB of RAM, a 1 TB SSD hybrid drive. Look at that, it just says HYB. So you might see, wow, 1 TB SSD. Read it says hybrid. Okay, whatever. Let's scroll down here and look at the specs, because this is looking a little sketchy. You gotta come all the way down here. It even says read entire description. That's probably how they get away with their sketchiness. Okay, 13-inch MacBook, brand new 8 gigs of RAM, brand new 1 TB SSD hybrid. If you don't know what a SSD hybrid is, essentially it's a hard drive. So let's say you have a 1 TB hard drive, and they'll have some SSD on it. So it might have like a 60 GB or 128 GB SSD built in for caching for all intents and purposes. It's definitely faster than a traditional hard drive, but it's not going to give you the performance of a real SSD. And look, I didn't even plan this. I really didn't. But this is exactly the problem here. Look at that. Features an upgraded Intel dual processor with speeds up to 2.4 GHz. Maxed out brand new 8 GB of RAM and a brand new 1 TB SSD hybrid drive. Makes it sound great. You look at this, you're like, wow, this looks like a great MacBook. $548, 503 sold. Crazy. This is an Intel Core 2 Duo MacBook that is worth, honestly, maybe $200 at best. Essentially, this is like one of those companies that goes ahead and buys these things by the bulk probably, and they just upgrade the RAM if it doesn't have 8 gigs in it already, and they put a 1 TB SSD hybrid drive, which are dirt cheap, probably like $50 to $75. they put this thing in there and they sell it for a crap ton of money. We don't even know what year this MacBook is, but let's take a look just based on the specs now that we know it. So just by kind of Googling this, we can start figuring out what MacBook this is. So that means that this is this MacBook right here. MacBook Pro Core 2 Duo 2010. This is a computer that is literally almost 10 years old. Let's just Google the model number here and we'll see what this thing really goes for real. Finding on eBay on a seller that isn't crazy, lowest priced, $500, whatever, it's brand new, it says, pre-owned. There you go. Same MacBook, $200 like I said. Again, didn't plan this, did not actually pre-look at this, is exactly what I said. And yeah, you might not get the 8 gigs RAM, it might come with 4. And you might not get that 1 terabyte hybrid SSD drive. But regardless, this is a much better value, and you could upgrade that other stuff if you want to later. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous they're charging that much for that MacBook. So now that you guys kind of see the scam, then you're like, Trevor, why don't you just go to the next ad on eBay? Well, thanks for asking. So look, I'm gonna go through these really quickly. Okay, this one, not overpriced, white MacBook, unibody, decent for what it is. That one's okay. Look at this one, pre-Retina, same type of gimmick, same company actually, 15-inch quad-core i7. That's not terrible per se, but this is still gonna be an old MacBook. It's still a non-Retina, it says even pre-Retina, but they'll put Retina in there to hopefully get the result when you're looking for a Retina MacBook. So even when you're looking for a Retina and you put that in eBay, those are still gonna pop up, which is very tricky. But there's your 1 terabyte SSD, 16 gigabytes of RAM, $1,000 for that computer, no way sir is that ever worth it. Same situation, not worth it. This might be worth $500, $600, not $1,000. This is a little overpriced, but whatever. This is tough. Because again, these pictures, you can't really tell if it's a Retina or if it's a pre-Retina MacBook. It looks like it's a pre-Retina because it looks too thick. Yep, you can also see the drive here. This is way overpriced. i5 at least, and 16 gigabytes of RAM. So this is a little better. I'll give you credit, a little better, but still probably about $100 overpriced. And honestly, you can just go on and on all day. Here's a bad value. Look, another Intel Core 2 Duo for $500. That's a little overpriced. It just gets worse. And to be honest, the more specific you get, that was just MacBook. If I go MacBook Pro Retina, because I'm specifically looking for one of those, look at that, pre-Retina. This one might be Retina. I'll give that one credit without looking any further. Pre-Retina. Ooh, that one might be Retina. Pre-Retina. You get what I'm saying here? Very tricky and honestly so scammy that you don't know if you're even getting something that's gonna work for what you want. So like I said in the beginning of this video, you need to know what you want, and that's gonna be really important for you figuring out what the best purchase is. But even once you figure that out, it is very complicated. So let's do a little more digging and let's find some of the best valued used MacBooks that aren't so scammy. So there's a couple things that are gonna help right off the bat, and that's being a little bit educated on what you're getting. For example, anything pre-Retina can be upgraded. So those new SSD hybrid, new RAM, all those keywords are not gonna really apply to a Retina MacBook. Nor is that going to really apply to a MacBook Air. And that's sometimes where I suggest you start looking, is for some of the more not as sought upon MacBooks. The MacBook Air is a great example. The MacBook Air is a fantastic computer. I was always kind of biased against it until I got one. I love my little 11-inch MacBook. I just ordered a 13-inch MacBook Air for my girlfriend. I'm not buying these things new by any means because they're not worth new pricing, but for the price you can get on the used market, it's not half bad. So for example, we put MacBook Air in here. Let's see what we got for the price. Now you gotta be careful with some of these. I would not say this initial first result here is overly good value. $700, it seems like a lot of money. But you go one down and we are starting to get more into reasonable price territory. An i5, 1.6 gigahertz, still has Apple support until March 2019, which is definitely worth something. 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is low, I will say. I did say I was gonna talk about that briefly. Macs do use a lot of RAM and have high RAM utilization. I would minimally be looking for something with 8 gigs of RAM, which would kind of disqualify this for the price, but this is a under $500 MacBook. So not terrible if you're just looking for it for maybe college or word processing and basic stuff. More than acceptable. And then you just got yourself a 2015 MacBook that's still under warranty for only $450. So let's look for the ideal setup here. Let's go to 8 gigs, which is what I would prefer. Right now, we don't really care about the years, so we won't worry about that. We won't care about hard drive capacity right now, but we will say we at least want 256, so we'll go that route. And again, you want to make sure it doesn't say sponsor. Those always need to be higher, like these guys right here. I'm going to stay away from those, but you start getting a little bit deeper dive here. This is a MacBook Air, 13-inch Core i5, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigabyte SSD. Okay, we'll take a look at that. This one here looks great. It is sponsored, which I always am skeptical about, but the pricing looks good. So we will go ahead and take a look at that one. And just for bottom of the barrel pricing, we will go ahead and take a look at this too, because $365 is not a lot of money. So let's see what we got here. So manufactured refurbished, for the most part, those are okay. A lot of times these eBay sellers refurbish their own items. They call them refurbished. As long as they got good ratings, I normally do trust it. Normal sign of wear, highly efficient and powerful machine. Okay, let's take a look. So it looks to be in good condition, which is always good. You're gonna see some scuffs or something, like I see something at the edge here. Not a big deal. Now, I don't really get when this now comes with better upgrades, because you can't upgrade anything really on these, so not really sure what that means. However, this is a perfectly acceptable MacBook. This is actually the same spec model that I just got for my girlfriend. It's this i5 processor. It's a 4th gen with the Intel HD 5000 graphics. 256 gigabytes of storage. I just got this. However, I did just get mine for $407. So again, this is why you get a look. It's a little bit overpriced compared to hers. However, I will have to check the gigahertz. But that's a turbo gigahertz. These MacBook Airs base clock is much lower than that. So you got to keep your eye on stuff like that. But again, this is why you gotta look around. If you found this MacBook and was like, this is the one I want, that's when you're gonna go ahead and search more specifically for this one to make sure you're getting the best value. 11-inch MacBook Air, this one's definitely newer. We'll say this one's graded C for its condition, which isn't always the best sign, because I don't like buying this stuff normally that doesn't show real pictures of the device, but regardless, 4 gigs of RAM, that one's gonna disqualify it for me. Did it say 8 gigs up here? It does say 8. Okay, so this is something I noticed the other day, even buying a MacBook myself. Sometimes you gotta watch out. If it says 8 up here, I'm gonna trust the title. However, be careful with this stuff, because sometimes, you know, it could be wrong. Yeah, it does say 4 gigs here. There's stuff you gotta be careful about. I don't know what trickery they're trying to play or whatever, but that is something to be concerned about. However, if you do get it from eBay and it's not as advertised, it says 8 gigs up here and they messed up or something, you should be able to easily get a return or something for that. So look, it's tough to say about this one. I still think it's a little overpriced. I ended up getting my 11-inch MacBook Air with an i7 processor, which I will say is a generation older than this. But it does have 500 gigabytes of storage. I paid only $400 for it, so you just really gotta look out. But this is the ads you can start seeing and start being like, okay, if I like this one, I'm gonna search for this one, and I know for a fact you can find a better price. And look, that better price might be right here. Let's take a look here. However, this is bidding, so bidding, you never know how that's gonna go. But with only 3 hours left, this could definitely be a $450 MacBook. So let's just say this is the MacBook I want. I mean, this has the qualifications: i7 5th gen. It's a little newer than some of them. 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigabyte hard drive. Honestly, this MacBook would work fine for most people, including even light video editing. So let's just take the Mac identification number there, the A1466, and put that right here into eBay, and let's see if we can find a better price. So this was currently at $365. This MacBook's probably worth like $500 at best. So with that being said, let's go to buy it now. Of course, you can always play the auction route and see how that goes. And there we go. We're starting to see some progress here. So some of these are a little older. Some of these are 2013, so they're not quite as good. Let's just go to 8 gigs of RAM. I mean, to be honest, may have found yours right here. Not exactly the same model, but pretty darn close. i5, this one from 2012, 8 gigabytes RAM, 256 gigabyte hard drive, 13-inch. Look at that, $279. Does have a little bit of cosmetic damage, some scratches, it said on the screen, but not anything too noticeable. Hey, for $300, there's yourself a decent MacBook. definitely not those MacBooks we were seeing before. So looking for something like the MacBook Air, it's one of my best suggestions. It's not the best MacBook. I would never buy a new one of those. But it will really get the job done and get it done a lot cheaper than the other guys. You can probably get a much newer MacBook Air for the same price you can get a MacBook Pro. And the performance difference between them, it's not that much. You're gonna deal with some thermal throttling issues a little bit more if you're really, really using it, but most people aren't doing video editing. Most people are Word documenting and things like that. Facebooking. Well look, hopefully this points you in the right direction if you're going out there and buying a used MacBook. I think the market is saturated with scams as we discovered today. You just gotta watch out. You gotta be really smart. And here's the thing, most people are not gonna be overly educated about what they're looking for. But in this market, do your research, know what you want. And I think it's gonna help you get exactly what you're looking for a reasonable price. Just don't click the first thing you see on eBay, because it's not gonna work out for you in the long run or your pocket. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think. I will be sharing this experience with this new 13-inch MacBook Air that will be coming this week sometime, and more videos like this to come if you guys do enjoy. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you guys next time.